So there's a set diagnostic criteria for autism spectrum disorder, although we tend to call it autism now because many people would say it's not a disorder. So we have differences in social communication, so the way you interact with somebody on a social level, and then the restricted and repetitive behaviours and interests. So that includes sensory challenges, specialised interests, and an insistence on sameness. Now within each of those, there's so many different ways that each criteria can present based on someone's age, their ability, and them as a person. There's no one checklist you can use to have each individual thing to look for. You need to understand the criteria, understand the person and the environment they're in, and appreciate that the different ways autism can present differently in different people, in different ages.
Not only do I work with clients on the autism spectrum or autistic clients, but I also have been formally identified as autistic myself in my mid to late 30s, diagnosed according to the DSM-5. So there's the two sections, the top one, which is the sort of social communicative part, and then the second or bottom section, which is sort of your, I don't like a lot of the terminology, but it's the restricted repetitive behaviour, sensory kind of, deep interest part.
There are also neurobiological and genetic indicators for autism, but these too can be inconsistent.
There's no research to suggest that there's any one definitive sort of difference in the autistic brain. So actually the research that's out there is highly variable. Some research, for example, might show that some individuals on the autism spectrum might have an enlarged or bigger volume in their hippocampus, which is involved in the formation of our memories. Then there's some other research that shows that particularly children and adolescents on the autism spectrum might have a larger amygdala. So that's sort of the area of our brain that controls our experience of emotion and also plays a role in forming our emotional memories. So, let's say we've got a phobia of heights, that making that association between feeling fearful and there being at a great height, for example. So we know that there can be differences there, but then there's research that has also found that some individuals on the autism spectrum might actually have a smaller amygdala too. One of the most consistent findings we see is that there's differences in the connectivity of what we call the default mode network of the brain. That's essentially implicated in our ability to daydream and think of the future, but also in terms of theory of mind, so perspective taking, understanding another person's point of view.